All right, guys, so watch this video for Tuesday, Halloween, Tuesday, October 31st. Real quick reminder, we're playing Day Trading Jeopardy on Thursday, right at the closing bell. We're just doing our happy hour thing. This will be our third happy hour. I should be mildly buzzed because I'm already in a cruddy mood because I traded terribly today and had my second red day in October. The environment just wasn't great action out there. But so we are going to we've come up with a Day Trading Jeopardy game just for fun. We're going to have drinks. Bring your own, though. And this is sort of my version of if I got to trade on Wall Street, right, at a prop firm down in New York or something like that, hanging out at the bar afterwards, swapping trading stories. So we're definitely going to take questions on anything to do with our trading methods, our trading course, what we do, what you've seen in any of our videos, anything like that. We're going to take questions, but we're going to start it off with Jeopardy and just have some fun. And then we'll segue into a Q&A. So show up if you can. I'm going to make it easier. You won't have to go to my website to register. Just go to the description of this video, and I'll put the link there. All right, so the link should be there. Then you can get registered for our happy hour. We're looking forward to it. Should be fun. Here's the SPY. Kind of a quiet inside day. Again, action was just really dead out there. Here is what I'm watching going into for tomorrow. MICT, nice volume today. At one point, it looked like it was going to have a strong close. I mean, look at that. Like 10 minutes before the close, it was all the way up here at 98 cents. And then we would have had a solid green candle with clear resistance at $1. Looks really good over $1. But as you can see, it sold off a little bit at the end. So the daily doesn't look quite as pretty, but still worth watching. I had this on Gap Play Watch this morning, but it didn't give any kind of a setup. So as I've told you in a million of my videos, I never just jump in at the opening print. That's a complete coin flip. Anybody teaching you to the contrary is doing you a disservice. Nobody knows what a stock's going to do right after the open. You should learn what a morning gap play setup looks like, and then what the entry looks like, and then trade accordingly or not trade at all. And in the case of MICT, it gave no setup. So, but it is on watch for tomorrow. TEUM got a nice volume spike today. It ended up giving back some of those gains, but here's 15-minute candles. So this was the big volume. Look at those two volume candles going back. You had this big one on the gap up October 23rd, but since it's done next to nothing, and a really nice volume spike today. So this looks really good over today's high, but it might give a different setup than that. You can see it's kind of, it has a relationship, as we would teach in the chat room, with the 200-day, right? It seems to hit the 200-day and fail, but it's got great support below. I like the volume today, so over today's high, it might rip through the 200-day and start knocking down these dominoes here, okay? So I do think it's a decent setup. That's TEUM. AMPE had this big spike here and had a few topping tails, and some consolidation right here, but nice volume today and closing near its highs. This one might just break out of this range, so I think it's worth watching. HTGM was on watch for today. I didn't take any trades in it, but it is still valid, right? The chart, you had this pop, and you kind of have a flag, so it's still valid. I want to see volume come into that if I'm going to take it. VISI has been really strong lately. Closing at $4. I certainly like the fact that you had this huge move, then a lower high and a lower high still. I'll switch to 15-minute candles. You can kind of see it's sort of got a sort of a flag pattern here. You know, you can picture a trend line where my mouse cursor is going, and up in this area it sort of breaks that trend line and may retest recent highs. So we're going to watch that one. That's VISI, CELG. I like the strength in this one. It kind of peaked up into the gap today. I did give one idea for a possible trade today when it got this spike right here, somewhere in here, which would have given you a quick buck, and I ended up I skillfully avoided all the profitable trades today. And really after the morning when nothing was following through, I wasn't really in the mood to take too many trades. I just thought, you know what, Mondays are traditionally my worst days anyway. I'm much more comfortable trading on a Tuesday than on a Monday. And the action again today was just terrible. But anyway, I want to watch Celgene again because it did close fairly strong. It's kind of up into the gap and might get a follow-through day tomorrow. We'll see. PETS, I mentioned this one. Might work through 35 when it looked like this, and it got through 35, and you'd say, well, how'd you have a bad day? It went to 35.80 because I didn't take it. I mentioned the idea when it looked like this, and then I was looking at something else when it went. You could say the same thing for QURE. I also mentioned this one. When it looked like this, I said I like this as an opening range breakout. This is the opening candle right here. There's the trigger. And it went up really nicely. I was looking elsewhere. So it was one of those days. But anyway, QURE is not on watch for tomorrow. But PETS I am putting back on watch because it did. I talked about the support in this area. A lot of consolidation here. and it did put in a green candle, so we'll look for some follow through. If you go to 5-minute candles, you can see after breaking the opening range, it actually held up really well near the highs of the day. So I think this might have a follow through day on this bounce tomorrow. MNOV, only 404,000 traded today, and it's kind of, I don't know, I call this chart kind of loose, but it's still worth watching. You have a high, a lower high still. Today's high was 725. Over that, you might go boom, boom, and take out these recent catalysts. I'll show it to you on 15-minute candles. So, you had the big pop here, sold all the way off, but then another pop, and it's holding up pretty well. So I do like it over this flag pattern here, right in here. So if it gets up over here, it might get going. That is MNOV. A few more here. KTOV. You had this big spike on an intraday basis. I'll show it to you using 15. Look at that big spike on really nice news. Next day, lower high. Today, actually closing strong. I wasn't watching the freaking thing, but I still like this. I think this one might get some legs. Let me switch back to 15s. Yeah, I don't have a, like, oh, here's a great price, but I'd like to see this thing consolidate tomorrow for a little while and then maybe break to the upside. It's pretty decent setup once you know that it had that big spike on an intraday basis. If I didn't see this the other day, if I wasn't actively trading and saw it, I probably wouldn't look twice at this chart, so keep that in mind, but I think it's got potential. MRK, oversold bounce play, MRK, Merck. Just getting slapped pretty hard here and might bounce tomorrow. I'm not a, I don't look at that chart. I'm not a fool. I don't look at that chart and think, oh, this is a bullish chart, but it's also oversold in my work. Same thing with AMD. Pretty ugly sell-off here, and I think that thing's overdue for a bounce as well. So we're going to watch that one, and then Sprint. Got some news today that sold off hard, but then look at the action on an intraday basis. Sold off, halts because of, I believe, a volatility halt, then, opens lower, looks like it's going to roll over, and then rips higher. So it's crazy action, but Sprint is one of those, again, if it trades in a narrow range and then breaks to the upside, people might pile in thinking, okay, I knew that, I knew that was bogus news because the talk was merger deal off, and then after that you heard, well, no, it's not off, but there's questions about it. So I think it's worth watching. And I'm not putting TMUS on watch, but you might want to watch that one too. That also had a huge day, and it is a huge down day, and it is at support. But anyway, Sprint is my last one that I'm watching. We'll also add some pre-market gappers to our list, and hope to see you guys at Happy Hour. That's this Thursday at the closing bell. I think it's going to be fun. Have a good night.